Thank you for clicking Dr. Samurai channel. In this video, I would like to discuss what makes cult leaders. Looking into the backgrounds of Jim Jones, David Koresh, and Mr. Charles Manson. My name is Dr. Samurai, a professor specialized in international social pathology and also an active prison counselor of 20 years experience. As usual, I would like to provide you some brief basic information first and then like to move on to our main discussions in the latter half, hoping this video will deepen your understanding of humanity. Are you ready? Okay, let's start. I came across an article titled Leonardo DiCaprio in talks to play Jonestown Massacre cult leader. I found out that there are two things in common in their backgrounds. One is those who become a cult leader experienced extreme emotional isolation. And number two, at a certain age, which is usually before they get not too old, like around 20s or late teens, they have certain experience of taking advantage of other people and tasted certain merit coming from manipulating other people. And if I add one more thing to these two major rules, whether they experienced certain abuse type of experiences or not, decides whether they will commit suicide in the end or not. If you like this kind of deep stories, please click that yellow and green good luck charm logo. In the case of Jim Jones, it is reported that his father was distant and ineffectual, according to a paper titled Nurture Failure, Psychographical Approach to the Childhood of Jim Jones, written by Dr. James L. Kelly. His father was also a sickly war veteran. His mother was eccentric and very often absent from the home to work for a factory for long hours, during which he experienced severe loneliness and isolation, which this paper calls nurture failure, in which adult caregivers are unwilling to provide guidance and structure, which can be taken, in my interpretation, as missing close physical contact and unconditional love by the parents. Because both his father and mother were not emotionally available, he became a really weird child, obsessed with religion and death. He also filled in the neglected blank of love by reading religious books. And around the age of 20, he received support from Methodist district superintendent to start the church. In case of David Koresh, as I have already mentioned it, father was non-existent before he was born, and mother abandoned him. He had this access to a Seventh-day Adventist church, and later on he joined the Branch Davidians, through which I speculate he came to learn how to take advantage of and manipulate people through the way he saw church managing. The Koresh himself later described his early childhood as lonely. In the case of Charles Manson, he was also left alone by his mother, who was still too young to focus on taking care of son. She was clearly putting her own interest before taking care of Charles. Even when he fled from boys' school, wanting to live with his mother, she contacted the boys' school to return. And around the age 25, he started to learn how to take advantage of other people by pimping 16-year-old girl. And he continued that type of manipulation of girls later on too. So we can confirm severe neglect in the early childhood of these cult leaders' background. And also, they all have manipulating experiences of others, either through churches or pimping girls. So severe neglect, which later merged to manipulation of others, seemed to create cult leaders later on due to their high obsession with their own fixed ideas of controlling others, because they all missed warm human physical contact and unconditional love when they were very young. And although David Koresh and Mr. Manson didn't commit suicide, Koresh shot to death by his right-hand man, and Charles died of lung complications in prison. Jim Jones committed suicide. This is because Charles experienced not so friendly cares by others during his very early childhood, and also severe physical, mental, and also sexual abuses while he was in boys' school and reformatory schools, and also in prison. David Koresh highly likely was placed under domestic abuse by his mother's violent and alcoholic boyfriend when he was very young, and also due to his dyslexia, he was placed in special education and highly likely experienced bullying because of that, being called Vernie. As opposed to that, in Jim Jones' childhood backgrounds, he did not even experience such abuses, which led him to his obsession with death, as I speculate. So, as today's value, it is highly likely that extreme childhood isolation plus certain experiences of taking advantages of others can create cult leaders based upon my own research. And whether there's factors of abuse during those early childhood decides whether they commit suicide or not. This is pretty much it. If you like this kind of deep discussions, please click red Dr. Samay logo. And it might be helpful to you to think about your own childhood, to look back at your own childhood. Wherever you are my friend on this very small planet Earth during the same period of time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.